My name is Tommy Gomes. I'm a fourth-generation commercial fisherman. It's a hard life, but it's in my blood. I want you to meet the farmers of the sea who work so hard.
There's a place in Oceanside, California called the Wrench and Rodent. If you're looking for it, it doesn't jump out at you from the road. It's more subtle and somewhat subdued, but inside it's a very different story. Chef Davin Waite is in a state of constant innovation and creation. He's been a strong advocate of sustainable cooking techniques and utilizing species and sourcing fish and produce from local sea and land farmers. If you can imagine it, Chef Davin can create it.
Some baby Russian kale.
Today he's having his way with a Monchong.
So Monchong, the black sickleback pomfret. As you know, this Monchong came from our good friend Pete Grillo on the Anthony G. So why don't you talk us through and what you have here, and we'll work our way down the line.
So here we just have a seared fillet of Monchong with smoked sour cherry jam, couscous, and charred vegetables.
You're doing things here at Wrench and Rodent across the board, sustainability-wise, utilizing the whole fish, each and every part of the fish, but most importantly, you're buying from local fishermen, your local fishmonger, and you're building these relationships, which is being brought to the forefront to your customers and teaching them where your food comes from, and every fish has a story, and you're allowing that story to be told.
Because most fish has a very cool story.
They do.
Most fishermen have a very cool story.
They do.
Fishmongers have a very cool story.
We've been there too. Yeah.
They've done that.
Yeah. So
and most parts of the fish have a really cool story too.
now what do we have here?
So here you have the ribs of the Monchong, and it's really cool because it has a flat, skinny rib, and that any meat that's cooked bone in is going to have that flavor from the bone. So that surface area allows all that delicious bone jelly to bleed into the meat.
These ribs, you can chew on these ribs.
Oh, totally.
They're not like a regular beef rib or a pork rib. They're very fragile. They're like a giant tongue depressor. But the meat itself is just beautiful and tender in between. I'm going to use my fingers because it's seafood. We're an adult. We can play with our food now. And this just peels right off of there. And it's a beautiful, flaky piece of fish. Oh my gosh. We're still trying to get people involved in eating the whole fish, and this beautiful plate are the collars of the Monchong. And you can see down in here, you can see the dark meat, right? We get in here. There it is. Look at that.
Just like chicken.
Just like chicken. Because we eat with our eyes. And people would go, ooh, I don't know about that. Well, it's so tender, it's so sweet. How do we get people to eat more like this?
Well, if we can just get them to taste it once, they'll want it again. And I think it's just about education and spreading the right information, getting people to taste things. And presenting it in a way that's approachable, trying to tie it back to comfort food in some way.
We talked about utilization of the whole fish. I noticed that you did harvest the eye cavity out of this fish, and tell us what you did with that and how you put it on here.
For the past couple years, I've been obsessed with flavoring fish with itself. So we steamed it in a pouch with garlic, a little bit of sweet sake, lemon verbena, some celery leaves, salt and pepper, and just kind of let it bubble away. And we strained out all the pieces that might be offensive to some or scary to some. And we just made this really clean juice.
This juice right here.
That's the stuff.
And it's delicious.
And if we just call this gravy, we're good.
Seafood gravy?
It's gravy.
Monchong gravy. You're using the fish to enhance itself.
Yeah.
And that's what food's all about, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that most of you aren't going to make a Monchong eyeball sauce, but you just don't know what you're missing.